Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another classic film review. And today's classic film review is for the 1982 horror film Poltergeist, a film that is written and produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Tobe Hooper, and it stars JoBeth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, Heather O'Rourke, Beatrice Straight, Dominic Dunn and Oliver Robbins. Now then, this film focuses on a family in suburban America who essentially are living in a house. It was built on ancient burial grounds, so therefore there are some demonic spirits that are not particularly happy and take a real interest in their daughter, Carol Ann, and essentially take her hostage. And then the family then try and search for answers and ways to get their daughter back from the clutches of these evil demonic spirits. You've heard the film, you know the film, you've probably watched the film, you know what the film's about. Now, what are my thoughts on Poltergeist? Well, it's funny, this one, I haven't seen this film for years, and it was actually on TV a couple of days ago, and I recorded it and rewatched it last night with my wife, and it's a year since we'd both seen it, and it was a really interesting watch. It actually generated quite a few interesting discussions with my wife, because she really checked out with the film quite early on, and it was mainly due to the effects. She saw some bad effects early on and she checked out immediately, and from that moment on she struggled to get into the film again, which I found quite fascinating. Yes, there are aspects of this film where the effects have dated, I think, quite poorly, but I'm pretty good at watching a film and judging it at the time it was made, if you like. I don't watch a film and think, well, that looks terrible now because of this, that and the other, and I'm quite good at looking at it at the time it was made and appreciating it for what it was at that time. So yeah, there are some effects in this film that have definitely dated poorly, and they don't look brilliant, I have to be honest, but there are still some that look really effective, I thought, too. I think what I found fascinating about this film, and I did discuss it with my wife, was I think up to this point in 1982, the majority of horror films, I think, had been quite serious and dark and, you know, really moody and very, very scary and very grounded and gritty and realistic and all that kind of stuff. And I think this was one of the first horror films that tried to go for the mainstream. And that's, when you watch this film, it's got Steven Spielberg's fingerprints all over it, in a sense. It looks and feels like a Spielberg film. That's the first thing that grabs your attention when you watch this film, even though it's directed by Tobe Hooper. So, but as you watch the film, you get brushes of both these creative people in this film. You get moments in the film where you think that's Spielberg, and you get other moments in the film where you think that's Tobe Hooper, you know. And they really complement each other, and I think that's why this film works. It dangles the carrot to, like, the commercial audience and opens the door and invites you in, and then it tries to scare the pants off you. And I think it's a really effective horror film for the most part, but it doesn't feel, you know, when you watch something like The Exorcist or The Shining or something of that period, you know, within 10 years of each other sort of thing, this film feels comfortable in a lot of ways. And what I really found fascinating watching this film was the number of horror tropes that we take for granted these days and even get frustrated by. Wow, there were so many of them in this film, and this film and others of this time invented them all, clearly. But this film has so many of them. It's got, like I said, the ancient burial grounds. It's got scenes where the kids go to bed, there's a storm outside, which is another trope. They don't close the curtains even though lightning's flashing. There's a big scary tree outside the window. There's a clown toy. Oh my god, I could go on and on. There's a scene in the bathroom where people's faces are changing, and scenes with food with maggots on it, and all that kind of stuff. It just goes on and on and on, and it throws everything at you, this film. A lot of horror films have been very, very successful with the notion of less is more. Not with this film. This film, the tagline with this film should have been more is better. It literally throws every single thing at you it can think of. Trees coming alive, spirits, let's say food scenes, mirror scenes with people pulling at their faces. It goes on and on. Corpses in coffins. On and on and on. Every single horror trope that you can think of is pretty much in this film. And that, for some people that maybe have never seen this film and watch it for the first time, they might be thinking, oh Mark, it's just too much. There's too much in this film. They needed to reel it back in a little bit. But you got to remember this was at 1982, and you got to remember our audience would have reacted to this in 1982, and they reacted positively because it generated 2 sequels. Unfortunately, there's a lot of sadness connected with the Poltergeist films. The young actress Heather O'Rourke, who plays Carol Ann, died after making Poltergeist 3. Was it meningitis? It was something like that. The young actress Dominique Dunn, who was in this film as the teenage daughter, was murdered in 1982 by an ex-boyfriend. There's a lot of sadness connected to this Poltergeist film, unfortunately, which is, you know, a lot of people link these sort of things to horror movies and that kind of stuff. I don't believe in that sort of thing. I just think it was a coincidence, but very, very sad. And as we all know, they did the sequel, or not the sequel, the reboot or the remake in 2015, which I haven't seen, but I am very, very interested in seeing now. I know it wasn't very well received, but I am going to watch that, and I will hopefully do a review in a couple of weeks when I get a chance to purchase that, give it a watch. And I will review that as well and give it a fair comparison to the original. So I'm going to give Poltergeist, the original 1982 film, an 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair score nowadays. There are aspects of the film that haven't aged particularly well, but it is still a great fun film. There are some really fantastic moments in it, and it is certainly a film you should check out if you've never seen it, for sure. So that is my classic film review for Poltergeist. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back, of course, with more reviews on Screen Stars very, very soon.